Hello, we are here for Umbra's coverage of the Habitat International Film Festival 2018 with Dita Rietuma, who's the head of the National Film Center of Latvia. Welcome, Dita.
Thank you for having me here.
I think you've had a very interesting career because you were a critic, which means your ears were to the ground, and then you also occupied a position in the University of Riga as an academician. And now, if I may say so, you're a bureaucrat who represents the policies of the state. How do you think these three very different roles also differentiate your own relationship with film culture in Latvia?
Thank you for asking. This is a very complex question, and yes, I worked as the film critic for our leading daily newspaper and for more than 20 years, and then I get a little bit bored only for viewing films, and I felt some kind of powerlessness, because, to be honest, critics don't have much power to improve things. But you know that filmmakers, they are not always very happy with the articles what critics are writing about their films, and filmmakers are not very good listeners to the good advices of the critics, and so this is the reason why my next step was quite logical for me. I made my PhD, I wrote some books, and the next step was applying for this governmental job, and I succeeded it happened 4 years ago, and now I'm the head of National Film Center, which is the governmental institution responsible for all the film policy in our state. And yes, we are dealing with grant systems, because nearly all the films in Latvia are made with the governmental support, with the state money, let's say.
Like I said to you that I've had the privilege of being acquainted with a few young Latvian filmmakers, and I do understand that as a matter of policy, Lithuania, Estonia and Latvia club themselves into the Baltic film state identity. And I want to understand how does a young filmmaker basically glean the essence of Latvian film or an essence of Latvian identity, especially if your country is being grouped with two other countries, and how does the National Film Center perhaps play a role in that?
Yes, Baltic countries is some kind of universe, and especially this year we are feeling that we are united very much, because we are celebrating 100 years of independence. And but normally, in normal life, let's say we are three very independent countries. We don't have common language. We have our own languages. We have, let's say, our own histories. They are quite similar because, unfortunately, we were occupied by Soviet Union for half a century, and this is also the historical fact that unites us. But now we are not so common, and let's say our cultural experiences and traditions are very different. And to answer the question of about the essence of Latvian identity, it's very difficult because it is very complex mixture of let's say influences from German culture, also from Russian culture. Then there is this the basic fundament. It's Latvian culture, and yes, it's very complex thing. This identity. But if we are talking about film experience, then all three Baltic states have very good documentary filmmaking traditions coming from 60s, yes, from Soviet times, all Latvian filmmakers, Estonian filmmakers, and Lithuanian filmmakers created some kind of poetic documentary school, or let's say language of poetic documentaries, and this was some kind of opposition to official ideology of the state.
Right.
And this is one of these cultural experiences which really unites us. But nowadays we are different. We are not so similar.
Right. So do you think that that sort of the grouping is a little arbitrary in sense?
From one side, it's little, it's not so logical. It is, and it's not so logical. And for us, as we are three small countries, sometimes we use this Baltic Union as the marketing tool.
Right.
Because now then we are together around, let's say, 8 million, but so there are 2 million Latvians, around 4 million Lithuanians, and around 1 million Estonians. We are very small countries.
You mentioned the feeling of powerlessness for a film critic, and I think that's very interesting because a lot of film critics do not like to admit it or perhaps discuss it. But I'm also interested in the state of film culture as it is in Latvia. For instance, you mentioned about the poetic documentaries that were mentioned. And I wonder if there are institutional frameworks, for instance, film societies or film museums, where younger people in Latvia right now can go and watch with these films or engage with film criticism.
Yes, there is a film museum, a very active one. And film museum provides different programs with old films, and also our film center is quite active with offering such programs. And if you want to study film and be a professional in this field, then you can study in the Latvian Academy of Culture. And yes, there are some ways how to enter film world, but of course this is not the easy way because there's a very high competition, and there is not very easy for a young filmmaker to get his first support from the government or from our film center to be able to make a full-length film, because full-length films, it's quite expensive. It's a lot of hundreds thousands of euros or dollars, and it's a challenging way, but a lot of people are successful.
Right. For instance, with the National Film Center, and I think this ties into the question of identity, because like you said, most of the films made in Latvia are funded by the state. Perhaps this is an official secret, but what would the state, for instance, or what would the National Film Center look for in a story or in a proposal to fund it?
Yeah, it's not a secret because we have an institutional frame which don't allow for the bureaucrat to make a decision. All the decisions are made by experts who comes from the professional field, and so we bureaucrats only help to, let's say, to make these decisions, and yes, how the experts will choose the right project. Okay, there is a very tight scheme of, let's say, point system, and you have to submit the project, and the experts will write to the synopsis or script, and then they will evaluate your project using this very tight point system. And let's say it's from one point, or from one side it's quite mechanical, but from the other side, such point system gives clearness to the system. So you are competing for the points, and my opinion is that successful film industry or national film industry is when there's some kind of balance between art house movies, intellectual movies, and films which are oriented to the wider audience. For example, family films. And for this year we made in 3 family films, and all of these family films were very successful, and they're for kids, for very young people, and I think this is very, let's say, how to reach the young audience or the audience. Yeah.
Sure. I just like to sort of end with, because I did read about the thesis on film noir. And it's interesting to me because a lot of people in popular consciousness tend to think of film noir as an invention of Hollywood or something that was conceived there. But I was reading an interview with Belatar, the Hungarian filmmaker, and he said how they do not really need to watch film noir films because noir is on every street in Europe. And you find resonances between Latvian cinema and between American cinema in terms of film noir. Would you like to just mention about this very interesting book, which we may not have a chance to read, but it's still very interesting to us?
Yeah, thank you for asking me this. My interest about film noir started from the very particular point when I discovered that film noir was created by a guy who was born in Riga, in my hometown. Maybe you know the director Boris Inkster, who was one of the first filmmakers in Hollywood who made film noir, and the name of this movie is The Stranger on the Third Floor. And there was the missing link between Riga and American film noir, and it's a shortcut. It's not a link; it's a direct shortcut. But because this Boris Inkster was born in Riga, and also Sergei Eisenstein was born in Riga, so our city, Riga, the capital of the Latvia, has very interesting, let's say, cinematic roots.